you know, I
Good morning, and we'll call to order the meeting of the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada. Ms. Quigley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Commission, your agenda is in order and ready for your approval.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion carries. And before we get into some of the agenda items, we want to remind people that if you wish to speak on an item that is posted on the agenda today, please fill out a public comment card. They are located in the back of the room and out in the lobby, or an RTC staff member will collect cards from you. So if you were interested in speaking, please fill out a card. Tina.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, your second item is to receive the General Manager's report. And I'll give you a heads up, we do have a pretty robust General Manager's report today, but we're going to make up for it by having a very short non-consent agenda program. So, everybody in? Yeah. That wasn't really a vote. So, our General Manager's report. First, we want to do some driver recognitions. The first item in our GM report is to honor operator Renisha Bell from MV Transportation, which operates the senior transportation service. If she's here, we'll have her come down. Yay. Thank you, Renisha. Renisha's skills are very diverse as she drives both Silver Star and flexible demand response services to meet the needs of our senior clients. Renisha receives warm compliments from customers regarding her great customer service, and she enjoys serving the seniors of Southern Nevada. We appreciate all of her hard work and dedication. Congratulations, Renisha.
Look this way and smile.
She's cute.
I just want to say thank you, that's all, for the award, and I'm grateful to be a part of this organization. So thank you.
Thank you. We have one more recognition. We'd like to recognize Security Supervisor Alvin Typhane from our security contractor, Allied Barton. If he's down, if you could have him come down. Officer Typhane received a call from a customer at one of the Boulder Highway bus shelters threatening suicide. When Officer Typhane discovered the caller was homeless and had recently lost a close relative due to suicide, he provided the caller with positive support until another security officer and members of the police department arrived on the scene. Thank you, Officer Typhane, for your services.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank for the recognition, and it's such an honor. Basically, been doing the same thing that my other colleagues that are posted here today. Your safety is in our hands, and believe me, Allied Barton and our culture that we keep, we're definitely here for you. Thank you. Pretty cool. Get a phone call? I never would.
And the check's in the mail.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
The RTC is joining a nationwide effort with more than 300 other organizations led by the American Public Transportation Association to support long-term federal transportation funding to help build a better and brighter Southern Nevada. You'll notice that we've got signs up, we've got t-shirts. Both our board, Governor Brian Sandoval, have proclaimed today National Stand Up for Transportation Day. Some of our board members, Tracy Larkin, and other leaders will participate in a press conference today at 1 p.m. at our Sunset Maintenance Facility to celebrate this important day. As part of our efforts, we'll be kicking off a social media campaign, which includes videos from several of our community partners standing up for transportation. I'd like to share just a few of those clips with you today. Now, these are just a few. If we were to play all of the clips that we got, it would take over 30 minutes. We don't want to do that to you, but we do want to show you a sampling of the submittals that we got.
Hi, I'm Tina Quigley, General Manager of the Regional Transportation Commission, and I'm standing up for transportation. Literally 1,100 feet up. Remember, transportation is a key element to economic growth and development, and investment in transportation is important for all of us.
The LPGEA stands up for transportation.
Hi, I'm Fred O'Heaney, and I'm standing up for transportation. Because without our roads and traffic lights, our community will be a place with no direction.
Hi, I'm Larry Brown, and I'm standing up for transportation because it's a critical investment in our community, and it helps preserve the quality of life we enjoy in Southern Nevada.
Hi, I'm David Frum with UNLV, and I'm here at the RTC UNLV Transit Center on campus. And I'm standing up for transportation today to provide transit and education access for our 35,000 students, faculty, and staff.
Della stands up for public transportation because riding with friends is more fun than riding alone.
Hi, my name is Deborah March, RTC Commissioner and City Councilwoman for the City of Henderson. I'm standing up for transportation because if it wasn't for fuel revenue indexing, we wouldn't be able to build critical infrastructure here in Southern Nevada, like the I-11 bypass here in Boulder City.
Hello, I'm David Parks. I'm a state senator from Southern Nevada, and I believe in transportation funding. Nevada needs to get back the tax dollars that we send off to Washington through our gasoline taxes and our other sources of federal revenue.
We're Outside Las Vegas Foundation.
And we're standing up for transportation because it connects us to Southern Nevada's special outdoor places, including over 1,000 miles of trails and 380 miles of bike lanes.
I'm Tracy Larkin. I'm Mary Martini. And we stand up for transportation.
Hi, I'm Pat Mulroy. I'm on the Nevada Gaming Commission, and I'm standing up for transportation because transportation lets us give our visitors the very best experience.
Hi, we're with the Las Vegas Convention Center, and we're standing up for transportation because without it, our millions of convention attendees would have a hard time getting to their conventions.
From the halls of Congress, the streets of District 1, I'm standing up for transportation.
Hi, I'm Rudy Malpabon, Director of Nevada Department of Transportation, NDOT. And for safety, mobility, and economic development, I stand up for transportation.
We are Best Fully Warren Public Relations, and we invite you to join us in standing up for transportation. Because without transportation, our community isn't going anywhere.
This road is your road, this road is my road. From motorcycles to the folks in crosswalks, from a bike lane trio to a fancy sports car. This road was made for you and me.
Hi, I'm Jason from the Mom Museum, and I fully support transportation because without transportation, our employees or our customers couldn't experience the Mom Museum. Please support transportation.
I'm Las Vegas City Councilman Steve Ross, and I'm standing up for transportation because Southern Nevada deserves great infrastructure and even better public transportation.
Hi, I'm Ken Evans, and I'm standing up for transportation because without it, we wouldn't be able to have economic growth. So help me support good transportation.
Hi, we're Great Trust, and we stand up for transportation by carpooling to meetings.
Hi, Oscar Goodman here for the Las Vegas Host Committee, and we're standing up for transportation because it's what brings our 41 million visitors a year here and keeps them coming back for more.
Hi, I'm MJ Maynard with the RTC, and today I am standing up for transportation because right here in Southern Nevada, millions of passengers ride our buses. Stand up for transportation!
Oh, we are so lucky to have so many wonderful partners that understand the value of transit and transportation in Southern Nevada. Watching that video, for me, it's a really great feeling to know that we've got so much community support and so much understanding. And there's just a lot of oars rowing in the same direction as we try and accomplish a lot of the things that we're trying to do in Southern Nevada. So thank you, and I thank our board, too, for always being there for us and supporting us and giving us the vision, but letting us go forth and doing what it is we need to do to get it done. So good feelings. Next, we have another proclamation. We are joining the American Public Works Association to proclaim May 17th through the 23rd as National Public Works Week. This week is used to energize and educate the public on the importance of the contribution of public works to their daily lives, planning, building, managing, and operating the heart of our local communities and building the quality of life. Today, accepting the proclamation on APWA's behalf is NDOT Assistant Chief Project Manager and American Public Works Association Junior Trustee, Lynette Russell. Is Lynette?
Thank you. I appreciate the RTC's support of American Public Works Association.
Lynette, you're going to have to speak into that microphone because we want everyone to hear you.
Oh, lucky me.
And we like your t-shirt.
Thank you. I'm wondering why nobody else is wearing the flag. I appreciate the RTC's support in helping American Public Works Association recognize National Public Works Week, May 17 through 23. And I think we all recognize that without Public Works community as we know it today would not be the same. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We told you we would come back regularly to give you a progress report on our fuel revenue indexing effort. I've got new numbers that represent our progress through March 31st of this year, so the first quarter of this year. As of the March 31st, we've awarded 97 design and construction contracts that have been awarded to 126 businesses, of which 33 are construction and 64 are design. Of that, 61 are small local businesses. As you recall, you put a lot of pressure on us, the community did, to make sure we were getting as many small businesses, local businesses, minority businesses work. So happy to report 61 small local businesses have received work for a total of $208 million in funding and creating approximately almost 2,700 jobs. But I want to point out that those numbers, those last two numbers, 208 million and about 2,700 jobs, that's the impact just of the direct fuel revenue indexing dollars, just the indexing dollars. You have to recognize that those indexing dollars have helped lots of projects move forward, either in the form of matching federal grant money or contributing to projects that otherwise weren't fully funded and were on the shelf. When you add in all the rest of those projects, those numbers become significantly higher. Some projects that have happened recently, we had the groundbreaking of the Flamingo Road Improvement Project. That groundbreaking was on March 10th. It's a $40 million project, and it's funded through several sources, one of which is fuel revenue indexing. We also got a Tiger grant for this project, a federal grant, which we're very excited to be awarded because that is a competitive grant. And this project creates about 160 jobs, and you can see it was a very creative groundbreaking, a lot of excitement, a lot of celebration for these improvements. We also, our big groundbreaking, it made national news, and well it should, was the groundbreaking for the I-11 project. We broke ground on Monday the 6th, and everyone knows what a monumental this event was for our entire region. It was an exciting day. We were joined by the governor, the lieutenant governor, Senator Reed, Representatives Heck, Heller, and Hardy, and more than 200 guests. And of course, most of you were there as well, and we appreciate you showing up. A big thank you to everyone who made this event a success, and it was a success. I received several texts and emails after the event talking about how much energy was created and excitement by this groundbreaking. We look forward to sharing with you the progress on this project regularly over the next 3.5 years. I have to tell you just an anecdote. I dropped my daughter off at school today, and she said, "Mom, my history teacher is so excited about this I-11 project." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because it's making history in that it's connecting two major metropolitan areas that have never been connected before." She's in 9th grade, and I thought, she said he's just so excited that he put it on his Instagram. So I thought, that is really cool. I said, "Did you tell him I'm involved?" And she's like, "No, I don't talk to him." She's a freshman. And she said, "And you don't go talk to him either." So, all right, moving on. We also want to share with you, there have been several media reports at both, of course, media print, online, but also television media has been covering the progress of fuel revenue indexing. We chose this clip to share with you, George Knapp put together, and it's representative of the other media coverage that we've had as well, showing that we've got a lot of projects out there. I think that it conveys to the public that there's going to be a lot of orange cones for a while, but that in the end, there is some payoff. So if we could show that clip real quick. It is about 3.5 minutes, so I'll let you know that.
You know, I love to quote Bruce Woodbury when he said, our master transportation plan is to tear up every road in the valley, and if we haven't gotten a hold of your road yet, give us a call and we'll come tear that up too.
It's a funny line, except when you're trying to navigate around the omnipresent orange cones all over the valley. The Regional Transportation Commission has rolled over the valley like a flash flood on asphalt, building new roads, repaving old ones, paying for projects that will eventually ease congestion and improve safety. But it's an expensive undertaking. The RTC told state lawmakers and local officials that without a new funding source, the 6 local governments that make up the RTC would have a measly $22 million per year to spend, total.
What that meant was we could do maybe a mile of road in each entity without buying right away. We might do one Beltway Bridge project for that 22.4, but it was a pretty dire situation.
The legislature approved what's called fuel indexing. Basically, it's a series of 3 increases in the gas tax, a total of 10 cents per gallon. We've all been paying it for 2 years. By the time the index expires in June of next year, it will have raised $83 million directly, but will have allowed RTC to sell bonds for more than $700 million, some serious dough that allowed RTC to authorize nearly 200 construction projects all over the place.
And they range in size from really small pedestrian safety, intersection improvements, street lighting improvements, bike lanes, pavement maintenance projects in neighborhoods, all the way up to the new I-11 project, the Interstate Boulder City Bypass I-11 project.
Examples, the resurfacing of Maryland Parkway between Russell and Twain, fixing Decatur near Warm Springs, new asphalt for Durango between Trop and Desert Inn, traffic lights near Fort Apache and Warm Springs. The road work creates a lot of jobs, pumps money into the economy, and RTC says is a message to potential employers that Southern Nevada is a good place to invest. But the gas tax will expire next year. So what does RTC have in mind?
There are some things that we are going to be following and paying attention to and are very interested in.
If RTC General Manager Tina Quigley has a plan, she didn't tip her hand when she appeared before the state legislature a few weeks ago. Mike Hand confirms the RTC would like the fuel tax extended to a full 10 years, not just 3. The RTC was reluctant to reveal how much a 10-year extension might raise, but finally gave us projections made 2 years ago, and the numbers are big. The fuel tax index would raise $346 million directly and would allow the sale of nearly $3 billion in bonds. If you think that's enough to cover every inch of the valley with asphalt, you'd be wrong.
And it ends up being into the billions over time, but it's still not sufficient to cover the unfunded projects that we have on the boards. When we went to the legislature in 2013, we came up with a list of projects that was like $4.5 billion. So that'd get us halfway there.
Gas prices are creeping back up, but have been low enough so that 10 cents per gallon hasn't caused a public uproar.
see it. That gives you some kind of an insight or a sampling of the conversations that are being held. I do want to address that we did not mean to be elusive with our project list, but at the time we were still working with our project works directors, our public works directors on finalizing the list and the revenue numbers. Since then, we have done that. We've worked with each of your public works directors, and we've got a really great list of some great projects that could be accomplished if the concept of tying motor vehicle fuel tax is approved by the voters in 2016. And we'll be bringing that to you at future meetings. Next, I'm going to have MJ Maynard give you an update on our driver focus groups and our security, and Jerry Keating will address our security efforts. You have asked us to be meeting regularly with our drivers and our security officers to be learning more about what's going on in the field so that we know what's going on.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tina. At the Fixed Route Driver Focus Group last month, drivers shared that they were unclear of Allied Barton's role and authority of the officers, particularly when the officers ride the routes. As a result, RTC has asked both MV and Keolis to include an Allied Barton representative to participate in every new driver orientation class. Working as a collaborative partner will ensure that the important role of Allied Barton is consistently explained to all new drivers. Additionally, Allied Barton will continue to participate in every driver focus group to respond to questions or concerns from the drivers. Drivers also expressed concern with the current camera system on some of our older buses. We are happy to report to them that the RTC is investing in an upgraded camera system for more than 200 of our buses. Completion of this project will be fall of 2015. Lastly, we heard from the drivers that some of the current layover locations are problematic, specifically regarding the distance to walk to restroom facilities. As a result, staff went out last week to visit the layover locations in question. Staff is currently considering specific layover relocations to the Vegas-Owen route and the Lake Mead route to put in place by our next service change this coming November. We will continue to work closely with the operators to ensure that they have enough layover time and that the layover locations are convenient and safe. Next slide. Great, thank you. Oh, got it, okay. At the paratransit driver focus group last month, drivers pointed out to the RTC that our paratransit bus stop list is outdated and that some drop-off and pickup locations are not listed. As a result of their feedback, the RTC is going to update all 198 paratransit stops and include the paratransit bus stop listing in our electronic fixed route bus stop database to eliminate the current and very inefficient paper process. Additionally, the RTC IT department will provide database access to our contractors in order to get updated bus stop information in a much more timely manner. Lastly, the drivers voiced their frustration with the current electronic template that contains their scheduled trips for the day. It's called a manifest. The RTC staff will hold a small driver working group to assist our IT department in designing a template that is more user-friendly for the drivers.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, based on your recommendation over a year ago, Allied Barton has completed the transition of adding 54 additional positions and is currently fully staffed. The increased security coverage to 19 officers on our buses during each shift and 7 roving patrols completes what you approved last year. Thanks to the increased security coverage, while our percentage of assaults has historically been low, these efforts have contributed to a continued decrease. From September 2014 to January 2015, the RTC experienced over 27 million boardings with less than 1% assaults. At this point, I'd like to update you on our driver safety enclosures. Staff reported that the initial pilot testing of driver safety enclosures through the Bentech Corporation resulted in some concerns with glare from the enclosures, door sturdiness, and some ADA concerns that revolved around large wheelchairs and scooters being able to get on board. As a result, the RTC and its staff has piloted a new redesigned enclosure from Bentech, as well as another company called Aero Global. The second 30-day trial period on Bentech doors ran from January 2015 through February 2015, and the 30-day trial period for Aero Global began in March of 2015. RTC later this month will complete all driver feedback cards and comments, and will make and present a final decision to the RTC board in the upcoming future. RTC anticipates completing the installation of all driver safety enclosure doors on all existing vehicles by the end of the calendar year 2015. MJ, and I'll take any questions you have.
Commissioner G.
I can't remember. Do our park and rides have restroom facilities, or at least the portables like we use in parks and that? All of them do?
Yes, yes,
okay.
they do.
Because that could just be another place, not only for drivers,
Yes,
but just,
correct.
I mean, for our clients as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Next slide.
MJ, you can go ahead
Yep.
and continue with
Yep,
the
next slide,
statistics.
please. This is, okay, that's okay. Okay, next slide, please. As part of our ongoing reporting on our transit system, we'd like to provide you with a year-over-year look at on-time performance, maintenance, and customer service. The average on-time performance has seen a slight decline of less than 1% for both the 5 and 10-minute on-time performance standard, while overall ridership increased nearly 1% to more than 5 million in February of 2015. Both the 5 and 10-minute on-time performance standard showed a slight decline. Keolis remained consistent in their performance, and MV's on-time performance was affected due to some of the routes being located in major construction zones. Next slide, please. As you can see in the orange tables, total road calls have been reduced even with an increase in revenue mileage. This statistic would denote that both contractors and their mechanics are doing a good job in maintaining our fleet. And looking at our customer service snapshot, the number of general ADA comments remained at 0 year over year. And while the overall number of comments slightly increased, they rose proportionally to the increase in average weekday boardings, keeping the percentage flat year over year. Many thanks to the drivers and mechanics for all of their daily efforts to safely transport our passengers and keep our buses moving. And if you've got questions, I'm available. Otherwise, we can go on to the next slide.
Commissioner G.
Thank you. Just generally, what would the comments deal with?
Comments can include compliments to the drivers, driver attitude, buses running late, buses not picking passengers up.
Is it paper, or do they go online, or how?
It's usually they call. They call. They call.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we have the ability to develop an app, since you guys are also techie, to maybe allow for that? Because especially if it's compliments for a driver, you'd like to know that as much as if they were being rude to somebody. I mean, if that's the case. But
Commissioner, we are in the process right now of testing an app that will allow our customers who have smartphones to contact customer service via that app, trying to make it more user-friendly for us to create that outreach and develop that relationship with our external
Great.
customers.
And then I'm glad to see about the ADA comments. I recently got one. I still need to deal with our Public Works and I guess it's city side. That even though the buttons may be within the 36 to 42 inches for pushing for the crosswalk, we have in some cases the bumps around them, for lack of a better scientific term, and the wheelchair cannot get up to it to be able to hit the button. So we need to really be very sensitive to that part of it. And maybe that's something we could do as we're looking at safety issues. But I know I did get a call from a constituent who, on the Sahara, Maryland, and then the new one by the Walgreens, and I went out and checked, and the button was at the right height or what standard, but you couldn't get to it. And I believe the ADA standard is to allow a person to be able to hit it with their elbow, and so they couldn't get close enough. So maybe we can kind of coordinate looking into that part of it, so that we can, where we have things being repaired. I know Tracy's working on some stuff with ADA in various areas that we can all be sensitive, because I hadn't thought about that part of it. I'm like, oh, it's within the correct height. I measured that, and I went, oh, you can't get to it because of the way that slope piece was in there. Thank you.
No, I appreciate the feedback. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
All right, it's with mixed emotions, moving on, that I share with you the news that Jerry Keating, our Assistant General Manager, will be retiring effective May 7th. He's worked for the RTC for almost a decade, and he has 30 years of service with Southern Nevada. I'm very sad to see him go. I'm not going to make you cry, though, okay? Promise. But we do want to highlight some of the things that you've done while you've been with us, because you've really helped shape, grow, mature, and develop this agency. This agency is very different than what it was 10 years ago, and we credit you with a lot of this, Jerry. One of the very first things our board, about 8 years ago, our board said it's time for the RTC to separate from Clark County in terms of our HR function, recognizing we were a regional board, recognizing that we had matured to the point and grown to the point that we needed to be more independent. You directed us to do that, and that's always a very uncomfortable thing. There's a lot of change associated with that. There's a lot of learning and growth, and there really needs to be a lot of confidence and ability to be competently moving forward and creating relationships. And he was able to do that. Our transition was very smooth. And we are a much more agile organization as a result. We're able to take care of our HR issues quite expeditiously in comparison to how we were. And we actually ended up saving about $200,000 a year. He received, and this is a very big honor, he received an award of excellence from the National Public Employers Labor Relations Association. They pick one person nationally a year to receive this award, and he received this award, and justifiably so. This was a big one, increased the overall morale in the call center and decreased customer service call wait times significantly. There have been periods in our history where we've had wait times of upwards of 3 minutes. He has been able to reduce that significantly, and his team loves him. He goes out regularly to talk with them, to learn what's going on. As you know, call centers are very difficult to operate, especially when it comes to morale. It's a tough job, and he's been able to do that, so we thank him for that as well. We laugh because for the AGM who oversees IT, our technology department, Jerry has more IT problems than any other RTC employee. I have to share with you recently, over a month's worth of Jerry's emails went missing. After getting staff to research the issue, it was found that the missing emails were actually in his deleted items folder.
Tina, can I still redirect some careers before I leave? I have a few names I want to mention.
IT keeps a complete spare computer in stock, configured just for Jerry. Needless to say, IT does replace Jerry's PC fairly often. He spearheaded the TVM replacement project. Jerry and the IT department took on this very important initiative to replace our old ticket vending machines, which make purchasing passes easier and more efficient for our customers. He's also been working with his team to lead us into the mobility options that we'll be unveiling soon as well, the mobile applications. Yes, here we go. There's never a dull moment when Jerry is around. He is always the life of the party, and he will be greatly missed at our Christmas parties because you are our MC. What are we gonna do? You're always the first one on the dance floor and the last one on the dance floor. Maybe you could start a new career. We can hire you for that. He saved us approximately $1.2 million per year by transferring all of the facility equipment and maintenance in-house. Again, it's always a really tough decision to make when you're doing cost-benefit and figuring out what's the best approach to take. There's always learning curves, but the transition was well received. And again, we're saving about $1.2 million. Jerry is such an endearing leader. He is the only manager we know who can encourage an employee to seek new employment and still get Christmas cards from them. I am not kidding you. Big hugs and Christmas cards. A great honor was Jerry serves on the Nevada Governor's Homeland Security Commission. Again, that's a very limited membership, and we're glad and honored that he was asked to serve on that commission. And probably his greatest accomplishment is that he has put his children through college. They are thriving, and he's managed to stay married for over 3 years. Or I should say Ellen has managed to stay married for over 33 years. Credit to Ellen. So if we could, we'd like to ask his family to come down, if we could, and say thank you to them as well. Yeah. Shake, hey, you gotta go up.
might have a new department. Needless to say, I'm not going to stand here and say that this isn't emotional, and this isn't at times with some intrepidation, but it is. I love my team, and I have the accomplishments that they talked about were not done by me. They were done by collectively 134 people that I have the privilege of working with, that we so often term as Jerry's kids in a very positive manner. I love each and every one of the employees that work for me. Having the opportunity to come to the RTC 10 years ago was a breath of fresh air. I would be remiss if I do not thank several of the people that had major impressions on my life when I came to the county, and that would go back to the very early days of Cheryl Miller, the Director of Personnel, and then over to the Fire Department with Bill Bunker and Earl Green, and then Jake Snow and Tina Quigley. And if I forgot Fred O'Heaney and MJ, I would never forget them, because between the three of us, we were the brothers and sisters that worked so closely together to be the team that the RTC needed to head up at this point in time. The accomplishments are important, but the relationships are more important. They're something that I will never forget. They're something that I will always cherish. I was very fortunate, and so let me sum it up by saying I will always be the RTC, no matter where I end up or what I do, if I do anything. If I'm sitting at home, you certainly may see me sitting down here at a board meeting. As a matter of fact, I probably promise if I have nothing better to do, Ellen will probably send me down to a board meeting. She has endured me for 33 years. Last month, Gail Frazier retired, and the very day after he retired, he sent out on his LinkedIn that he was the new head of household of the Gail Frazier family. I will not be sending that out. I will be sending out the assistant to the head of household, my wife. But I want to say that in 1976, I'm going to go back a long time, this month, I went on the first date I ever had with my wife. I have known her for a long time. Like the Yankees that had the core four, I'm fortunate enough to have the core four myself. I have my son, who I'm extremely proud of, my daughter, who I cherish, and my wife, who has always been and will always be the wind beneath my wings that make me the person that I am. They say behind every good man, there's a great woman. I can stand here and tell you that I would not be the person I am today or the professional that I am today had it not been for my wife and my family. I love you all. I thank you all for this honor. I thank you for being a part of my life, and I thank you for the opportunity to be an integral part of your RTC, Tina. Thank you. I'm going to miss you too. You all know that. You all know that. So, thank you all very much. Thank you. Just don't do it our IT department. Just tell everybody.
Oh God, I feel old.
Oh yeah.
Made me cry.
And Mr. Chairman, that concludes your general manager's report.
Well done. Jerry, before you officially retire, so we don't get hacked at the RTC. We have the whole team here. Thank you. Everybody stand up, please, that works in that Jerry's Kids area. Thank you. Thank you all for coming to support him. Well done, Jerry.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, your...
Oh,
baby. Now I'm going to be teary-eyed. Yeah, and you know I brag all the time about the team that we have here at the RTC, the assistant general manager. It's very, very rare that you have a leadership team that has the chemistry that has existed with the assistant general managers. And I credit a lot of that to Jerry, MJ, Fred. It's tough to run a whole organization, and they do it. They've created a very close relationship. Again, a lot of respect, a lot of trust, a lot of chemistry, and that has made us what we are today. So, okay. Your next item is to receive the Nevada Department of Transportation Director's Report.
Rudy just sends his regrets, and I'm sure he's going to be sorry he missed all the presentations because they were very good, and I'm sorry that you're handing it off to me while I've got tears in my eyes. On I-11, we want to thank the RTC for coordinating the groundbreaking event for both the NDOT and the RTC projects. It was very well attended and very well covered. Senator Heller is a co-chair on the Senate Finance Working Group tasked with finding revenue for the next long-term transportation bill. And we also appreciate Senator Reed's comments on earmarks during the I-11 groundbreaking event. Although it's unlikely that earmarks will return anytime soon, in the past they have provided critical funding for much-needed transportation projects in southern Nevada. The Tiger Grant applications are out. They've been announced, and the pre-applications must be submitted on May 4th, 2015, and the final applications must be submitted on June 5th. We are working with the RTC, and we'll work together on the projects that are submitted. On Project Neon, the final RFP, thank God, has been released, and proposals are due July 31st. The March 18th outreach event for the minority contracts and the DBE enterprises was a great success. 32 vendors were able to introduce themselves to the shortlisted proposers, and if any firm missed the event, they can find the workshop materials out on how to contract proposals posted at www.n.projectneon.com. On AB 191, NDOT was very pleased to testify at the Assembly Taxation Committee hearing on April 2nd alongside with RTC of Southern Nevada in support of continuing fuel revenue indexing. And that is it. It's a short one. Thank you.
Comments or questions for the Assistant Director? Commissioner G.
Thank you. Maybe just you could, Tracy, either you or Tina could talk about what is the status of 191? Did they roll the state into that to collapse it as one vote then, but not to extend the time for the vote? So it's still 2016, or was that being?
Yes, the way the language reads, as we interpret it, is that we are asking to take two questions and put them into one. So there'll be one question to the voters: do you want to continue the concept of tying motor vehicle fuel tax to inflation? The vote will be 2016, and it is just for a 10-year period.
Okay.
We'd go back to the voters in the year 2026.
Okay. And then on the Project Neon, I'm glad you did the minority outreach and that it was so well attended, it sounds like. What's the status, just briefly, of that? I met with Frank Hawkins' group, I think, are working with the public outreach. I know that they were going to set up a meeting with both.
Frank Hawkins is working with our right-of-way relocation area group to basically outreach and coordinate to the people who are being affected by the right-of-way relocations.
And one thing I mentioned to them, because some of the houses over there have been, to find out from you all what the plan is for maintaining them, because I'd gotten some constituents that are actually in Lois's part of the district were concerned about that part of it. So they were going to reach back out to you on that. So at this point, the only allocation that was made was the $100 million for the right-of-way purchasing, but nothing else yet for capital outlay, correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Always good to have you up on the dais.
It is. Our next item is your first citizens participation period.
Do we have any cards? No cards. This is the first time set aside for public comment. Those wishing to speak on a specific posted agenda item, now is your opportunity. Seeing and hearing no one, will close this portion. Now,
You have to sort of understand, I can't hear you
okay, so
because
let,
my hearing's gone.
I'll say it a little bit. This is the time if you want to speak on a specific agenda item. There's a second opportunity. I think you were going to speak on the second public comment.
Speak on one thing, Chairman.
On what agenda
one
item?
important thing.
What agenda item?
Well, I was not aware.
Okay, hold on.
Because it seemed, time, how much time?
Come up and just explain.
I don't want to talk on anything about one thing. Right. The meaning of stand up for transportation.
Chris, at the end.
The second public comment. We'll call you up on the next public comment.
Okay, because the people are the ones being hurt, not you.
So we'll do it at the next comment.
Seeing and hearing no one, will close this portion of public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, your next agenda item is your consent agenda, which is made up of items 5 through 41.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Very good. Your next agenda item is item number 42, which is to receive information on the May 2015 commission meeting and direct staff accordingly. The regular commission meeting of the RTC of Southern Nevada is scheduled for May 14th, 2015. Nevada Revised Statute 354.596 requires that the RTC set a public hearing for the tentative budget on the third Thursday in May of each year. This year, that date falls on May 21st, 2015. Rather than hold two meetings, it is recommended that the RTC reschedule their May meeting to a new date for May 21st, 2015 to address normal business and conduct a public hearing for the budget. The meeting would be held at the regular place and time at the Clark County Commission Chambers at 8:45 a.m. or at an alternate place and time to be determined by the RTC. If the commission approves this change, notification will be published.
Entertain a motion? Motion on the floor, and that would be held here at the Commission Chambers on the 21st of May.
Yes.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 43 will be handled by Assistant General Manager M.J. Maynard.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, item 43 is to receive a presentation on the tentative budget for fiscal year 2016 and direct the Department of Finance to submit the tentative budget to the Department of Taxation by April 15th, 2015, as required under Nevada Revised Statute 354.596. The tentative budget, along with a detailed report of the proposed revenues and expenditures, are due to be filed with the Clark County Clerk and will be placed on record at the RTC for review by the public on or before April 15th, 2015. The document includes all agency funds. A presentation regarding the tentative budget will be provided. RTC staff will be available to answer questions from the RTC Board of Commissioners and the public. RTC personnel request that the Commissioners direct the Department of Finance to submit the tentative budget to the Nevada Department of Taxation. Additionally, NRS 354.596 requires that a public hearing on the tentative budget be held on the third Thursday in May. At that time, the Commission will be asked to conduct a public hearing on the tentative budget. And our Director of Finance, Mark Trosdal, will now present to you.
Thank you, MJ. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. We will start our budget discussion by talking about revenue. Our main revenue source is sales tax. We are projecting our sales tax to increase this year, fiscal 15, by 5%. By the end of fiscal 15, we'll be pretty close to a full recovery, as compared to the height of the sales tax in fiscal year '07. We are projecting a 3% increase for fiscal '16. This pie chart shows us how the sales tax is divided up for the use in the RTC. We had 2 questions that brought on the sales tax, each 0.25%. 50% of our sales tax goes to transit from the first Q10, and then the second Q10, half of that sales tax goes to transit, for a total of 75% that goes to transit. 25% goes to FAST, Streets and Highways, and the Department of Air Quality. To break up that 25% that goes to the Department of Air Quality, Streets and Highways, and FAST, we've created this pie chart that shows out of that 25%, Streets and Highways receives 74%. And that would equate to 18.5% of the total sales tax revenue that we receive. FAST receives 9%, and Department of Air Quality receives approximately 17%. You can see that the sales tax provides the majority of our funding for transit. 59% of transit is provided by sales tax funding. Our fares provide 39% of our funding, and then we have a little piece of the pie of other. Our fare revenue, you can see here, we are estimating a 0.6% increase for 2015 and a 1% increase for 2016. We think that's a conservative estimate, as we are adding about 66,000 hours of service in 16. Our motor vehicle fuel tax, you can see that that has been flat from fiscal year 10 through fiscal year 13, with slight increases in 14 and now 15. We're actually up 2.7% through this January. And to be conservative, we're estimating that fiscal 15 will be up about 1.2%. We have 5 more months of the year. And fiscal 16, to be conservative again, we're going to estimate that at being flat at $67 million. Our fuel revenue indexing, you can see that started out in fiscal 14 with $12 million of revenue, and that was at 3.3 cents. The tax rate was at 3.3 cents, and we had that for half a year. In fiscal 15, we will have 6.6 cents, the rate for the full year, and then we will cap out at 10 cents in fiscal 16 at $75 million of revenue for the RTC. This chart shows our overall funding sources. You can see sales tax is 25%. Our fuel tax is now 19%. We do anticipate some bonding in fiscal 16 at 23% of our total funding sources. Grants will make up 22% of our funding sources, and our transit fares will be at 10%. And from sources, we go to uses. You can see the big chunk of this pie is capital at 64%, services and supplies at 23%, debt service will be 9%, and salaries and benefits 4%. Now we'll move on and discuss transit expenses. Our first chart here is our paratransit contract cost. You can see for fiscal 15, we had a slight decrease in that cost, and that was due to our new paratransit core contract with Transdev. So that we're estimating that'll go down about $2 million, and then we'll go back up in fiscal 16 due to increased estimates of ridership and also a slight increase in the rate per hour that we pay our contractor. Our next slide is our fixed route contracts cost. You can see that we have an increase from fiscal 14 to fiscal 15. We've added about 79,000 hours of service we had a slight increase in the rate per hour that we pay our contractors there. And in fiscal 16, you see another increase. We're adding another 66,000 hours of service. And there's a slight increase in the rate we pay our contractors for that year also. This next slide shows our fixed route service hours. You can see in fiscal 16, we're at 1.53 million. If we look back to fiscal 9, which was our peak in service hours, that was 1.55 million. So we're within 20,000 hours of being fully recovered in our transit service. Another large expense we have is fuel. We are converting our diesel fleet, our diesel and hybrid diesel fleet, to compressed natural gas. Here's just today's or yesterday's market price of diesel at $1.84, and our cost of compressed natural gas is about $1.20. So you can see there's significant savings in that. This next chart shows our conversion, the red bars being diesel over the years going down, and the green bars being compressed natural gas. You can see in fiscal 16 that we will surpass CNG, or compressed natural gas, will surpass diesel in usage. So that's a nice thing that we're going green. Our next chart is a pie chart of our operating expenditures in the transit fund. You can see our total expenditures will be about $213 million, of which 88% goes to contracted services and supplies. Our salaries and benefits in that fund make up about 7% of our expenses. We'll now move to the capital budget, which is $86.8 million, and this is just for the transit fund. Out of that $86.8 million, 77% is grant funded, or $67 million of the $86 million is grant funded. For a couple of the projects that we're going to be incurring and building this next year in transit, it was mentioned earlier, we're getting new ticket vending machines at a cost of about $2.2 million. We have, MJ mentioned security cameras. That project will be in fiscal 16's budget, and we'll spend about $5.5 million enhancing our security on the buses with the cameras. Our mobility training center at the Sunset Maintenance Facility, we're going to spend about $5.6 million in fiscal 16. We have an aggressive bus shelter and safety enhancements budget. We anticipate about 300 bus shelters. That's our target, and that will depend on our success in getting more land easements behind the sidewalks. We're going to be buying several new buses, compressed natural gas, run on compressed natural gas. We're going to spend about $8.6 million on 80 paratransit vehicles and $38.2 million on 55 fixed route vehicles. This next slide was mentioned earlier in a previous presentation for the Flamingo improvements there. And if we click that again, you can see the various funding sources of that. You can see that the Tiger grant that was mentioned earlier is $13.3 million. NDOT is contributing $18 million, and then there's several other funding sources listed there. Back on the buses, the paratransit and fixed route, those are funded 85% by grants because they meet requirements for clean air going to the compressed natural gas. Most of our other projects are funded about 80% by grants. This next slide shows our streets and highways expenditures. You can see that fuel tax indexing is budgeted at $358 million, and motor vehicle fuel tax, our regular motor vehicle fuel tax program, is $102.2 million, and sales tax program is down to $42.4 million. From the fuel tax indexing, we'll have about the benefit of 4,625 jobs from those expenditures. Now we'll move on to our debt. For sales tax, we have about $259 million outstanding on debt, and out of that money from sales tax, we spend $25 million a year on debt service. Our motor vehicle fuel tax program, there's $417 million outstanding, and our debt service for fiscal 16 is budgeted at $42 million. And our fuel tax indexing, or fuel revenue indexing, we anticipate issuing a bond of $170 million in fiscal 16. We estimate that towards the end of calendar 15. So we'll have a total of $270 million outstanding and an estimated debt service of almost $22 million for fuel revenue indexing. And that's the end of my prepared comments. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Comments or questions from the board? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Councilwoman.
You can see I can't even work this, Jerry.
Don't, Commissioner,
I don't think I did.
Councilwoman,
Yes.
don't tell my IT department. They will make sure it's on the headlines of the RJ. I'm just saying.
Lucky. I'm lucky. I guess most of them I had to go back to work.
But the answer is yes. If you may have it in front of you. If not, we'll make sure that you get it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, your last item is item number
Tina?
4.
Do we need a staff recommendation?
Right.
Maybe. Anything? It's a presentation. Do we?
It's fine to receive a staff recommendation.
Okay. Staff recommends approval.
And conduct a public hearing. Me first.
Oh, yeah.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, your last item is item number 44, which is to conduct your last citizens participation period.
Thank you. And before Mr. Kristoff starts, I just want to echo some of the comments we've heard during today's meeting that the groundbreaking ceremony for I-11 was just phenomenal. Well attended, both by our representatives and our business partners, our community, the media, but certainly the kudos go to the RTC staff. These type events we usually hear if things go poorly, but the feedback and the comments we've received have just been remarkable from just about everyone that attended and all that were following the I-11 project and program. So certainly thanks Tony, NDOT, and all your team, Angela, just a phenomenal job. RTC deserves a lot of credit for putting on an extremely difficult event, and it was just wonderful. Everyone that participated had such positive remarks, and that's a reflection on you. So on the public record, we thank you so much for representing the RTC, but for doing a job that gets a 5-star. Mr. Kristoff, let me open up the public comment period. Those wishing to speak to the board, please come down, state your name
can you
for the
hear me?
record,
Okay.
and
Good morning.
And you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. It's
Thank
just
you.
like City Hall said a couple of years ago with the veterans, you got 1 minute. Reality is this. I've been on this for 9 years. And I'm going to sum it up very clearly. Stand up for who? For transportation. How come the commission is not standing up for these bus shelters since 1991, not complying with ADA? This is the big issue. I'm going to put that sign up that you have there, copy it, and put up. you're not standing up for the people who got killed, injured in those bus shelters. You have a responsibility, a liable responsibility to be very concerned on people who are being killed because you have no safety features whatsoever in any bus shelters except the anointed routes on the strip and different other places. But Flamingo, as I spoke relating to all the work that's going to be done on Flamingo, from Durante to Malapai, all the way up there, it's going to ruin a lot of people's business because of 14 miles or 15 miles of business, just like Sahara. Nobody brought that subject up. Nobody brought it up for Sahara, how many people lost money, business. Chamber of Commerce is looking out the back door. But the reality, my concern is this. If we don't put money, as you show in your report, that you're making money for safety concerns, and that's, I got a copy of it, the federal government's going to figure out what's going on here. And as a person from Mrs. Quigley said very clearly, we're going to put easements, we're going to do this. Well, as I spoke to several experts within the news media and everything, who got the real documents, Mr. Richard Valero and other people, legislators, saying, where do they get this easement? So I just want to leave you with one thought, that you stand up for the people who provide transportation, but when those people see on the signs all over town that those bus shelters are dangerous, they're going to pull back. The Spanish people are spreading the word around. Do not stand or sit in the bus shelters. Now, I think that's a priority. More than anything else, we put a price tag on this, but what about the price tag on human life? These people, there's no price on them, but yet they don't get compensated. Everybody looks the other way, and isn't it on your conscience, Chairman? You know for fact that a great man back in 2008, when you were at that commission, came in, sat down, he's the former mayor, Oscar Goodman, said, I don't want to ever see this again. Well, I guess politics do that. They say one thing and turn around. So I leave you with this thought, that if we don't wake up and stop killing people because we can't afford to put safety features, then you got to be really in bad shape.
Thank you, Mr. Kristoff. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the board? Mr. Mendoza?
Good morning, Commissioners. At this time, before I go into my report to you, the Commissioners here, HU 1637 sends our condolences to Ms. Tarkanian. Anyway, in regards to what's been going on with our negotiations, last month we reported to you that it appeared that we were going to probably have a conclusion with MV and a contract, and we were moving forward with Keolis and possible problems with Keolis. Apparently, the tables have turned. We are preparing ourselves right now to present to the bargaining unit a proposal that we have agreed with Keolis, and we're going to recommend that it gets ratified. On the other hand, we proposed arbitration that we're going to bring to the arbitrator, as well as MV had given us their proposal. For whatever reason, they waited 1 week to go ahead and tell us that they're not going to accept it, and that is a shame. Because beginning of last month, we thought for sure that we were going to have a done deal with MV. I don't know what the heck they're thinking about. I'm sure, Ms. Quigley, you're enjoying your pay increases yearly, while we still have our MV operators that we don't even know when we're going to see any retro pay or any kind of decent pay wages. All the wages we get is nothing but poverty. And if we stand up for transportation, of course, that is our position, that we do support stand up for transportation, because if we will be against it, we'll be hypocrites. But it would have been nice if we would have had some transit operators and mechanics on their feature there. But it was just politicians and high-paid staff. We are disappointed, though. But we're going to see what's going to happen. MV doesn't straighten out, there's going to be some problems in North Las Vegas and that Simmons Yard. So hopefully, Commissioners, you guys start telling Ms. Quigley, earn your money. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the board? Seeing and hearing no one, we'll close this portion of public comment. This meeting is adjourned.